So I remember a conversation with my wife when we first met, and she told me about when she was 13, she had a sister born with a chromosomal defect, and they had to airlift her to UAB hospital. And my wife's entire family had to be in Birmingham, and this was something that was obviously unexpected. A lot was on their plate, and one of the things that was on their plate was a place to live, to be with their little girl when they were at UAB. And so an organization took them in Birmingham. I never really thought about this being a need in Birmingham. I just always envisioned that the hospital would take care of these types of things, and that the families would be okay. And but that is indeed not the fact. And so when she told me this story, it changed my heart, and that was the beginning of Red Mountain Grace. The first people that we contacted were social services at our major hospitals downtown. We wanted to research the need. We wanted to know it was real. They were delighted to hear from us. They quickly let me know that they could fill a hospitality home of 30 rooms that night if we had one for them. And we actually went to the hospitality homes in Birmingham, and we asked for their waiting list, and there were about 30 to 40 on their waiting list that night that needed a place to stay. We needed to help these people in their time of crisis and need, but we needed to do something we could scale fast. Every night we do not have a room for these patients is a night that they have to either sleep in the waiting room or find a hotel to stay in.
And so the only options are they could stay in hotels where they're going to max out their credit cards, because some of these people are here for months at a time. We've known people to be here for a year at a time. People at UAB have also seen people sleeping in their cars in the parking lots. So what Red Mountain Grace does is we offer fully furnished apartments for these people to stay in.
I was diagnosed with desmoplastic small round cell tumor, which is an incurable cancer, and was referred to MD Anderson in Houston to get my treatment. My wife and I were flying out to Houston because I was scheduled for surgery. We were going to have to be there 3 months, and I was prepared to sign on the dotted line for an apartment that was $3,000 a month. And I was sitting on the front porch of a friend's house in Helena, Alabama, and his neighbor was at MD Anderson. She had a sarcoma type cancer as well, like mine. And she told me about the Amschwann Sarcoma Cancer Foundation that has apartments for sarcoma patients. And so I called the next day and they had an opening. And so I flew out there and was able to stay for free for 3 months. And so coming back to Birmingham, I knew, one, that the Lord had done an amazing work in me to allow me to return to work cancer-free, and that was not the end. And so I contacted a friend and told him what I was thinking and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do more. And he actually said, I talked to this group, Red Mountain Grace, this morning, and you have to get in touch with them.
One of the best parts of what I do is to be able to call somebody and say, hey, I have an apartment for you. We work through social workers, so my first contact is always the social worker.
The need for Red Mountain Grace here in Birmingham is huge. Patients are coming here from all over Alabama, all over the Southeast are coming here for treatment. Being a social worker at UAB in the ICU, I'm typically consulted by the medical team when a patient comes in and the patient is getting the news that they need a major surgery, and they'll have to be in Birmingham for 2 weeks to 3 months. So I'm consulted to help the family find any resources that they might need, and part of that includes housing. To me, Red Mountain Grace is really the hands and feet of Christ in providing housing for these families that don't have a place to go and that are displaced from their homes for sometimes months.
And so we want to do everything that we could to make these apartments feel as much like home and just as comfortable as they possibly could.
All of a sudden, it's not a hotel that we're staying at. No, this is our house. This is our home. We get to have a meal around the table with each other. You know, the baby gets to play on the floor on the rug, just like they would at our home.
And that's what we want to provide. We want to provide a home for these people to heal and to grow. We want to partner with the hospitals to provide the best patient care possible. We want our apartments to be clean. We want our apartments to be safe. We want our apartments to be accessible so that they can go to all their doctor's appointments, even when they're not feeling good, so that their loved one can cook them a meal. They can sit together and watch TV. Those are things that allow them to heal quicker.
And what we like to do is we want to minister to not only that practical need of a place to stay, but we also like to minister to their spiritual needs.
They're an added layer of support for these patients and families. They're going to get prayer regularly, whether it's at the bedside, in the ICU, at the apartment, in the waiting room. It gives me peace of mind knowing that someone else is praying for these patients, whether they know the Lord or not.
Having somebody there that can love them, take care of them, show the love of God to them in such a Christ-like manner that our volunteers do, something that's really fun and inspiring to watch.
The volunteers for Red Mountain Grace play a huge part in this ministry. It takes a lot of people to take care of the number of apartments and the number of families that we have. They just want to be behind the scenes, clean apartment, decorate. We also have people that like to organize meals. Just for a meal to be provided for them is huge for them.
So we all work together. We all may work completely separately, but all of our functions work together for the greater good of something that hopefully finds its way through at the end of the day to a patient. They, for a moment, see God's face in the face of one of our volunteers. We can't do what we do without the support of all of our volunteers, all the friends of the ministry that provide apartments, that provide furnishings, that fund that next apartment that comes online, or that next patient coordinator that we need to take care of that next group of patients that's coming in. So every dollar of support that comes in helps to directly fund what we are doing and also directly fund where we grow and how we ultimately meet the full need of everyone that's in Birmingham tonight looking for a place to stay while they're going through some type of treatment.
I know that when I was flying to Houston, there was somebody doing a video in a boardroom asking for money, asking for support, asking for help to provide me that apartment that they didn't know. And God willing, I want to do that, raising support for them so that I can meet a very important physical need in a very difficult time while allowing the Lord to work spiritually.
Just know that when you give to Red Mountain Grace, that every dollar goes to help minister to these precious people.
Not only are we filling the gap of families and patients that have a need that are going unmet, we're also one of the few ministries in town that are doing that while also showing the love of Christ and sharing the gospel and getting the love on that person in a time of great need.
I love that I get to open that door to a place where somebody has needed somewhere to stay and they're going to be here for several months, and I can open that door and say, here's your home for however long you need it while you're here. I just love what I get to do. It's the greatest job in the world.
My youngest son, Davis, was born with a perfectly healthy heart, but shortly after coming home from the hospital, he contracted the enterovirus, which attacked his heart, and he went into heart failure. Davis was airlifted from our local hospital to Children's of Alabama, and we found ourselves in a situation where we lived 2 hours away and needed a place to stay, yet we could not afford a hotel, and there was a long waiting list at the Ronald McDonald House. You know, we were driving back and forth and not really being able to spend that much time with Davis because it's a 2-hour drive down and a two-hour drive back. And when something like that happens, you really don't think about how life continues. Bills still need to be paid, having, extra expenses, with hotel rooms and the cost of gas, driving back and forth. We were beginning to struggle financially, and I had a friend who emailed me about Red Mountain Grace, and I emailed Debbie, and they had an apartment right away, and we were able to meet her that afternoon. And I remember thinking, what is this place gonna look like? And I remember her walking us in and it just being like home. It looked like I had decorated it myself. At that time, our oldest was 2. When you have another child, you're also thinking about him, and it was nice to have a place where we could bring him and have a tiny bit of normalcy in a very chaotic situation. It's just a wonderful blessing. We truly are so grateful for everyone involved. We are grateful for the volunteers. We are thankful for everyone who donated their time, donated money to make that possible. Davis is doing great. He is a normal 2-year-old little boy. He will be able to do everything that a normal little boy will be able to do, and we are just so blessed and so thankful for the time that we have with him.